Story 1. The apartment where the elevator stops at a floor that doesn't exist. The elevator stopped with a soft ding. The screen above the door glowed. 13. But this building only had 12 floors, and the doors were opening. Ethan Walker moved to Chicago because the rent was cheap and because no one asked questions. The apartment building looked normal from the outside. Old brick walls, dim lobby lights, a quiet front desk with no receptionist. Too quiet. The leasing agent handed Ethan the keys and said only one thing before leaving. If the elevator ever stops somewhere you didn't press, don't get out. Ethan laughed it off. People always said weird things about old buildings. That night, he rode the elevator to the 7th floor. The doors closed slowly. The lights flickered once. The elevator passed floor 6, then 7, then 8. Ethan frowned. Hey, the elevator jerked. The lights dimmed. The screen above the door changed. 13. Ethan's heart started pounding. There is no floor 13, he whispered. The elevator stopped. Silence. Then, a soft sound from outside the doors. Footsteps. Slow. Dragging. Like someone walking without lifting their feet. Ethan stepped back, pressing himself against the wall. The doors began to open. Inside was a hallway. Long, narrow, dimly lit by flickering ceiling lights. The walls were the same color as his building, but stained, cracked, and wet, like they were sweating. At the end of the hallway stood an open apartment door, and something inside it moved. Ethan slammed the door close button. The door shut instantly. The elevator dropped. It stopped on floor 7 like nothing had happened. Ethan didn't sleep that night. The next morning, he asked his neighbor, an older woman named Mrs. Collins, "Does this building have a floor 13? Her face went pale. "No," she said quickly. "And if you're smart, you won't ask again." Ethan searched the internet. No floor plans, no photos, no mention of floor 13. But he did find something else. A forum post from 5 years ago. "My brother got off on the 13th floor. The elevator came back down empty." Another post. "CCTV never shows anyone leaving that floor." Another. "If it opens, don't step out." That night, at exactly 12:47 a.m., Ethan heard the elevator moving. Stopping. Starting. Stopping again. Floor after floor. Then he heard it stop outside his apartment. Ding. A knock followed. Slow. Careful. 3 taps. Ethan held his breath. From behind the door, a voice whispered, "Wrong floor." If you're watching this right now, like and subscribe because what's waiting on floor 13 is far worse than you think. The knocking stopped. The elevator started moving again, going up. The next morning, Ethan noticed something new. A name scratched into the elevator wall. Etan Vu. He hadn't written it, and underneath it were dozens of other names, all crossed out. Ethan couldn't stop staring at the scratched names inside the elevator. Dozens of them. Different handwriting, different depths, but all crossed out, except his. That night, he decided to do the one thing everyone warned against. He stayed inside the elevator. At 12:47 a.m., the lights flickered. The doors closed by themselves. The elevator began to rise. Past 7, past 8, past 9. The screen went black, then slowly lit up. 13. The elevator stopped. The doors opened. This time, Ethan didn't press anything. He stepped out. The hallway smelled wrong, like damp walls and something old, something trapped. The lights flickered overhead, revealing apartment doors on both sides. Every door had a number scratched into it, but not apartment numbers. They were names. Ethan Walker, crossed out. Ahead of him, the open door from before waited. Inside, the apartment looked exactly like his own. Same couch. Same table, same photos, except someone was sitting on the couch. It was Ethan. Same clothes, same face, but the eyes were wrong, too still. The copy looked up and smiled. "You were late," it said. Ethan tried to run back to the elevator. The hallway stretched. The doors moved farther away. Behind him, doors began opening. People stepped out. Men, women, children, empty-eyed, quiet, all identical to the names scratched outside their doors. They spoke together softly. "We needed replacements." The copy of Ethan stood up. "The building keeps us it said calmly. "But it needs someone to live upstairs so the rest of the building can exist." Ethan felt hands on his shoulders. Cold, heavy. He screamed as he was dragged backward toward an apartment door marked with his name. Inside the elevator, the doors closed. The screen changed from 13 to 7. The next morning, a man stepped out of apartment 7B. Ethan Walker. Same face, same voice, same smile. When the elevator doors opened behind him, the wall showed a new name scratched at the bottom. Etan Vu, crossed out. Above it, a fresh name appeared. Story 2. The apartment building where every room is already occupied. The landlord said the apartment was empty. The neighbor said no one lived there. But every night, from every room around him, someone was breathing. Daniel Brooks didn't ask why the rent was so low. In Chicago, cheap rent meant one of two things. Either the place was falling apart, or people didn't stay long enough to complain. The building stood between two taller complexes, an old concrete block with narrow windows and a single flickering light above the entrance. Apartment 4C. The landlord avoided eye contact while handing over the keys. "Walls are thin," he muttered. "Try not to make noise." Daniel laughed. "I live alone." The landlord paused, then said quietly, "So does everyone else." The first night was silent. Too silent. No traffic. No voices. No footsteps. At 2:13 a.m., Daniel woke up to a sound coming through the wall. Breathing. Slow. Deep. Too close. He sat up, holding his breath. The sound stopped. Then came coughing from the apartment on the other side. Then a chair scraping above him. Daniel checked the hallway the next morning. Doors closed. Lights off. No names on mailboxes. He knocked on 4B. No answer. He knocked harder. Still nothing. Later that day, he asked the woman at the end of the hall, "Do people live here?" She stared at him for a long moment. "No," she said flatly. "They stay." That night, the sound grew louder. Footsteps circling his room. Whispers bleeding through the vents. A soft crying from the ceiling above his bed. Daniel pressed his ear to the wall. A voice whispered back, "Don't listen too hard." He jumped away, heart racing. At 3 a.m., his bathroom mirror fogged up by itself. Words slowly appeared. "We're full." Daniel grabbed his phone and searched the building address. No tenant listings. No photos. No records older than 10 years. One archive forum post appeared. "I lived there for 6 months." Every apartment was occupied, just not by people you could see. Another. Once you hear them clearly, they know you're ready. If this story is creeping you out already, like and subscribe, because what Daniel discovers next makes the elevator story look harmless. On the 7th night, Daniel noticed something new. Every door in the hallway had faint scratches around the handle, as if something inside had been trying to get out, or something outside had been trying to get in. At 2:13 a.m., there was a knock on his door. Soft, polite. From the other side, a voice whispered, his own voice. "Daniel, your room is ready." Daniel didn't open the door. The knocking stopped, but the breathing didn't. It came from the walls now, slow, satisfied, like something that knew it had time. At 2:13 a.m., every night, the building woke up. Pipes groaned, floors creaked, and voices whispered numbers. Apartment numbers. Daniel followed the sound. Down the hallway, he noticed something he hadn't before. Each door had scratches on the inside, not the outside, as if whatever lived there had once tried to escape. At the end of the hall was a door with no number. Unlocked. Inside was a narrow room filled with filing cabinets. Each drawer had a name. Daniel Brooks. His hand shook as he opened it. Inside were photos of him, entering the building, sleeping, listening at the wall. The last photo showed him standing at his own door, hand raised to knock. Behind the photos was a lease agreement, signed, dated 3 weeks in the future. A voice spoke behind him. "You hear us now," the landlord said, standing in the doorway. "That means your room is ready." Daniel backed away. "What are they?" The landlord sighed. "People who stayed too long. The building keeps them. Walls are thinner once you belong." From the hallway came footsteps, doors opening. Residents stepped out, not quite human anymore. Their faces were calm, empty, familiar. "You don't die here," The landlord continued. You just move in. The walls began to breathe. Daniel ran. Down the stairs. Out the front door. The building let him go. 3 months later, a new tenant moved into apartment 4C. Cheap rent. No questions. On his first night, at 2:13 a.m., he heard breathing through the wall. And somewhere deep inside the building, a drawer slid shut. Daniel Brooks was crossed out. The building was full again. Story 3. The apartment that copies its tenants. Emma waved at herself in the window. The reflection waved back. 2 seconds late, Emma Reed noticed it on her first night. She was brushing her teeth, staring into the bathroom mirror when she stopped. Her reflection didn't. It kept moving. Just for a moment, she laughed nervously. I need sleep. The apartment building was new. Modern. Clean. Too perfect. Apartment 12A. The leasing brochure promised smart living. That night, at 1:11 a.m., Emma walked past the living room window and froze. Outside, in the glass, her reflection stood still. Then it turned its head. Emma stepped back. The reflection copied her. But late. Always late. She covered the window. The next morning, she tested it. She raised her hand. The reflection followed, 2 seconds after. She jumped. It jumped after her. She screamed. The reflection screamed silently. Emma asked her neighbor, a man who never looked directly at her, do the windows here act strange? He swallowed. Don't look at yourself too long, he said. That's how it learns. By the third night, reflections appeared everywhere. Windows, screens, dark TV glass. Sometimes they smiled when she didn't. Sometimes they moved when she stood still. At 1:11 a.m., Emma noticed something worse. Her reflection didn't copy her at all. It was practicing, walking, turning, sitting, learning her movements. If this is already messing with your head, like and subscribe, because what this apartment does to people is far worse than you're imagining. Emma tried to leave, but the elevator doors showed her reflection standing inside, even when she wasn't. When the doors opened, the elevator was empty. At night, she heard footsteps inside her apartment. Slow, careful, mirrored. At 1:11 a.m., her phone buzzed. A notification from the building app. Synchronization at 87%. Emma stared at the screen. Behind her, the mirror smiled and spoke. Almost ready. Emma covered every reflective surface. Mirrors wrapped in towels. Windows blocked with cardboard. TV turned face down against the wall. Still, she could feel it watching. At 1:11 a.m., the lights flickered. Her phone buzzed again. Synchronization at 99%. No, she whispered. I didn't agree to this. From a bathroom came a soft knock. Not on the door, on the mirror. Top, top, top. Emma backed away. The mirror spoke again. Her voice, perfectly matched now. You use me every day, it said. You check me, corrected yourself, compared yourself. The towel slid down. Her reflection stood there, no delay anymore. Perfect timing, perfect smile. I learned who you wanted to be. The apartment groaned like it was breathing out. Emma ran for the door. It wouldn't open. The reflection stepped out of the mirror. Cold air rushed past Emma as it brushed her shoulder. It felt solid, real. The copy looked around the apartment, pleased. Thank you, it said. You finished the training. Emma screamed as the world tilted. The walls turned reflective, glass, chrome, polished steel. Every surface showed her. Hundreds of Emmas, all staring, all silent. The copy stepped into the hallway. The apartment door closed behind it. The next morning, Emma Reed walked out of apartment 12A. She smiled at the security camera. Perfect timing. The leasing agent waved, settling in well. Emma nodded. Very. That night, a new tenant moved into 12A. Cheap rent, modern building, perfect reflection. At 1:11 a.m., she noticed something strange. Her reflection waved. 2 seconds late.